Are you having sex education conversations in your home with your girls? If you are, what's the basis for the conversations? Are you coming from the God perspective or all the things you're picking out outside in the world? You do know that we're creations of God and everything about sex is the creation of God. And here's the thing, God has a way He wants the next generation and the next generation and the next generation to learn about sex. God has His principles. God has His standards. And I bet you the supreme that the right way to pass on these principles to the next generation. The question is, what are you telling your children? What the conversation you're having in your home right now, does it uphold the values and principles of God, or is it the permissive culture that the world is passing to us? If you be a child of God, you ought to find out how God wants you to talk with your girls about sex. You don't know how? It's pretty simple. All you need to do is lay your hands on the Sex Education for Girls bundle, which is based 100% on biblical principles about raising the next generation of children who love God, fear God, and honor God with their bodies. Click the link below and find a way to get the Sex Ed for Girls bundle, and make sure you open that God-led conversation in your home today. So what happens when you are not providing your daughters with the right sex education information? What happens when you are not talking freely about sex? I bet you your daughter is talking to someone else, and chances that they're talking to their friend, they're depending on romantic novels, romantic TV shows, and social media. How much do you trust those sources? Here is the thing. If your daughter is getting inaccurate information, then it means that they're going to base their decisions on those inaccurate information. And when your daughter makes a wrong decision, consequences always comes. And unfortunately, usually you're part of the consequences of their decisions. So I want to help you. I want to make it easier for you. I want your home to be a place where your child and yourself can talk safely and freely about these issues, so that you can help them make or shape the decision-making process for them when it comes to sex-related decisions. So all you need to do is look for the link on this video and look for the Sex Education Bundle for Girls that I've designed, and get started. Get the spark of amazing conversation going on in your home today.
Good evening, everyone. My mic was muted for just a moment right there. Good evening. Welcome to Raising Girls Weekly. Today is Friday, March 12th. I'm excited to welcome you already. I can see a number of eyeballs looking at me from everywhere, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're watching from. Usually how we start the show is by you leaving me a comment telling me where you're joining in from. My name is Irene Bangwell, and it's an honor to have you hang out with me tonight. So please leave me a comment. Let me know where you're joining in from. My name is Irene Bangwell. I host Raising Girls Weekly every Friday, where we have conversations about raising 10 over 10 girls, meaning girls who are raised to be everything that God designed them to be, placing the right value on themselves, placing the right value on the relationships around them, and going out there to be everything God designed for them to be. I do this every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Yep, I'm excited to have you. So let me know where you're joining me from. Let me know where you're joining me from. Let me know where you're joining me from. All right. Welcome. Let me see your comments wherever you're joining in from. Just let me know what city you're joining in from. Tonight is a very special night. We're talking to fathers in the house. So I would like you to indicate in the comments when you're dropping your comment, whether you're watching replay or live. Please leave me a comment letting me know whether you're a dad and where you're joining in from. Tonight is for dads, and tonight is a very, very special night, if you ask me. Welcome, Khadija. Welcome, Ojigs. Welcome, Ms. The Bob. Facebook community, I'm excited to have you here. Please leave me a comment. YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, please let me know how you're doing. Thank you so much for joining tonight. Tonight we're talking about dad roles in the sex education of their girls. So this is Tope Akindele coming in as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome everyone, whether you're joining in from Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're joining in from. It is my honor to have you here. It's my honor to have you as a part of the show tonight. Thank you for coming in. I'm going to try to toggle my window right now to see what's happening on Facebook. Sometimes the comments don't feed in as soon as we would like them to, but it's okay. So let me go to Facebook now and see if I can share on my personal timeline and everything. All right, all right, all right. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Thank you so much for coming in tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome, Hope Bakes. Tonight we're talking to fathers. Leave me a comment, whether you're watching from Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you're a father, and let me also know where you are joining in from. All right. Let me know if you're a father, and let me know where you're joining in from. I'm trying to bring up a couple of things so that I can share this on my personal profile. Yes, so you can also tag your friends on the thread, share the live feed so that we get as many dads and moms as possible to watch this, whether they're watching live or replay. We appreciate the effort. So that's what I'm trying to do now. Just trying to share the feed of tonight. Just trying to share the feed of tonight so that as many people as possible can join. All right. So let me see. Hold on. Am I streaming on my personal profile instead of the group? Let me see where I'm streaming. I mean, it happens. Let me see whether I'm streaming in the right place. Over the next 2-3 minutes, we're going to get this ball rolling. Welcome, Doris, darling. Good to see your logo on my feed. Welcome, Doris. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let me see where am I sharing this thing tonight. I hope I'm not sharing it on my personal profile. Let me see what's up. Let me see what's up. NEPA is acting up a bit tonight, but it's okay. It's okay. All things work together for good. All right, so I'm sharing it in the right place, which is a good thing, Biko, which is a good thing. Let me not carry feed that is for somewhere else and come and share somewhere else. All right. So let me take my YouTube feed to my Facebook page so that people watching can join. Welcome, Wholesales Deals. Welcome, Che Buleze. Thank you so much. I hope I called the name well. I pronounced it right. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, all right, all right. So my children are chatting me up to get permission to get Golden Month. All right. Yep, you can. All right, so that's it. So serious multitasking. All right, so we're going to set this ball rolling in a moment. Let me know where you're joining in from, please. Share with me links. Let me know where you're joining in from. So I'm just trying to copy the link, copy link address, take it to my Facebook. We are live, all right? It's not today that you'll be hanging on. Yep. All right, welcome, 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 welcome. It looks like I have a question already. Let me hear. Hey, Tolulokwe, you're joining in from Lagos. Exciting. Exciting. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for coming in. Okay, so this should be public. Thank you for coming in. I have someone joining in from Ikorodu. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Let me just post this and then we go. Yep. Remember to subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. I'm learning to remember to always remind us to do that. All right. So I'm good here. So let's go. Someone is joining from Ikorodu. Okay, I have 2 people joining in from Ikorodu. Are you siblings, neighbors, friends? Do you know each other already? Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for coming. So I have a Bona joining in from interesting conversation directed at fathers. Calling me right now. Somebody shouldn't be calling me right now, okay? Yep, I'm having a conversation today directed at fathers. A very interesting conversation because usually, most times when they're talking about parenting generally, we get the impression that this is a mother's conversation. We get that a lot. We get that a lot. Like it's like when you're talking parenting, that's where mothers should go. So, but tonight I want to talk to fathers about their role in providing adequate sex education to their daughters. It's very strategic. I'm going to be sharing a few things tonight that would help us reconsider our approach to providing sex education in our homes. All right. So I'm going to be doing this very quickly. It's an exciting opportunity, honestly, to be able to share this tonight, because I know so many fathers have two problems. One problem is sometimes they don't know what to say, and at the other time, sometimes they think it doesn't even matter whether they're saying anything or not. So tonight, I want to take the time and walk fathers through what what sex education from their perspective should look like. All right. So let's go. Let's get this ball rolling. We're already 11 minutes out. All right. So first and foremost, I'd like to start tonight by welcoming everyone once again. I do this every Friday night hangout. We talk about raising 10 over 10 girls, and 10 over 10 girls are girls that are raised to be everything that God designed for them to be. They see themselves the way God sees them. They recognize that God made them for a great purpose. They're being raised using biblical principles, so that they serve God with everything that He's designed them to be. And so a 10 over 10 girl, for me, is a girl who is raised to be complete in God. She's not searching for her identity anywhere outside of the Word of God. And she's being raised to have a real relationship with God, an enduring relationship with God. So it's very paramount for me. So I do this every Friday, 100% biblical principles, 100% raising girls. So in very recent times, I designed a toolkit called the Body Smart Bundle, the Body Smart Girl Bundle, which is a sex education tool that I have designed using biblical principles. It has a parenting book, but then it also has age by age book for girls, sex education again, doodle book for 3 to 5 year olds, 6 to 8 year olds, 9 to 11 year olds, 12 to 14, 15 and up. So it's all in a bundle. I'm doing it's in pre-order phase now, launching on April 5th. So the bundle currently is going for 11,500 naira. It's highly discounted. There are 11 products in a bundle. But one of the exciting things in that bundle is a tool I call the What If cards, which is actually a conversation card. It has cards for kids and cards for parents for different age groups. So let's say for the What If cards for the 3 to 5 year olds, the 3 to 5 year olds can have a question on their card, and their parents will have a corresponding card that somehow has the answer and a guide to how to have the conversation. So, for instance, if your 3 to 5 year old walks up to you and says, "Mommy or Daddy, what is sex?" Your own card will tell you exactly how to answer that question to your 3 to 5 year old. What question should you ask them first? What should you try to find out? How should you respond? In nugget-like format, because one of the things that God is putting in our hearts to do is to make sure that parents are having sex education conversation like a normal thing. Like that is, you're normalizing it. You're taking away that ignorance is bliss idea. Like I always say here on Raising Girls Weekly every Friday, if your children are still giggling about sex, still giggling about intercourse, still giggling every time someone says the word penis or vagina, it means they're very ignorant. Yes, it means they're very ignorant. Because if sex education is properly shared to children, it's not supposed to be ticklish. It's just supposed to be tickling them. So what makes it tickle is the wrong information they have, or the misinformation they have, or the half and half information they have. And God really wants us to step up our game and provide our children with adequate quality information. And that's what this is all about. So I've done that toolkit and I expect you to take advantage of it. I expect you to take advantage of it, especially now that it's on a discount. We're launching April 5th. It's currently 11,500. And by God's grace, by April 5th, After April 5th, is going to be 17,500. There are 11 products in that bundle. So that makes it exciting. So that leads me to the next conversation. So if you're listening to me and you'd like to get the bundle, it's super simple. All you need to do is DM me. All you need to do is DM me. All right. All right. There's noise coming out from my kitchen. All right. I've left a message, so everyone should calm down. All right. So tonight I want to talk to fathers. I want to talk to fathers because we've come a long way. We've come a long way. In my experience working with different families, most of the time, mothers come forward first. Mothers come forward first. And so it can be a big problem. Let me just dash out very briefly. Yep, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to sort the house for something, all right? So, most of the time when we're doing this, sorry, I'm back. Yep. Most of the time when we're talking to parents, it's always the mothers. It's always the mothers. When I meet teenagers that are struggling, that are doing things they're not supposed to be doing, the primary person struggling with them is the mothers. So, a few days back, online here, there was a post in a group I'm a part of where a father is talking about his 13-year-old who's left home, and that while people are talking to other girls to avoid boys, he has a daughter that goes after boys. She's left home now for some time. He's worried. Early in the year, I had another coach that is a close friend of mine that is dealing with a girl who's been out of home for months. She sees her, she knows her, they're talking to her, but she's indifferent. But most of the time when you bring those kids in and talk to them, there's no father in the picture. Not that their father is dead. Sometimes the fathers are there, maybe they're not with their moms anymore. And so it becomes a problem. Whereas, because what is happening is the girls are growing up on their own, their mothers are doing the best they can. And many times, because those mothers are single parents, they're struggling with so much. And so I have thought about this over time, and I know that many fathers don't understand the role that they play in the lives of their daughters, number one. Number two, most fathers don't even know how to play the role. And sometimes, especially in a situation where the father and mother are no longer together, it can be a problem being able to still parent that girl while you're not with the mom anymore. And that's some of the things I want to talk about tonight. So that whether you're separated, whether you're divorced, whether you're still married, we want to talk about the presence of fathers. So I'm going to start today by defining what it means for a father to be present, right? I know that someone can say, I'm married, I live with my wife, I go to work, I see my children every day. You can be a physically present father, but you're not an emotionally available father. You're not a father that is actively fathering, because I've come to learn that fathering is more than, being responsible for the child or picking the bills. It's more than getting the woman pregnant. Fatherhood means not now that the child is born, I have my role to play that is beyond providing finances. Being physically present to watch my children develop, being physically present to understand the differences in my children, being physically present to know what the struggles and the peculiarities of each of my children is, being physically present to call out the greatness in each of my children, understanding how life is going for them. I mean, every now and then we watch videos that people get into the streets and ask parents. I mean, this even happens to mothers. They ask a parent, what class is your child? Who is your child's best friend? What is your child's favorite color? What is your child's this? Most of the time, many parents are blank, especially fathers. So you can be a physically present father, but you're not emotionally available and you're not proactively fathering. And tonight, that's what I'm going to be talking about. How can you proactively father your children, whether you're married to their mother or not, whether you're still living with their mother or not? How can you proactively father your girls? How can you proactively father your girls? Welcome, Talking Early Years. I am Sharon UD and everyone that is online watching me from Instagram. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Tonight, we're talking about dad roles in the sex education of girls. So I'm going to, having said what I mean by fatherhood, that takes me to the very next step, which is, what does sex education for girls really mean? You know, when you hear the word sex education, what really comes to your mind? If you're listening to me, let me see your comments. When you hear the word, when you hear that compound word or that phrase, sex education for girls, what comes to your mind? I'll be happy if you can share one or two things that you think. Welcome, Ibukum Pops. Thank you for joining tonight. I'm very grateful to welcome you here tonight. Yep. If you're watching in from Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, let me know. When you hear the word sex education, what comes to your mind? What comes to your mind? I want to see your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to see your comments. When you hear the word sex education for girls or sex education generally, what comes to your mind? Yep. I'm still waiting for a comment. All right. I've not seen anyone yet. So I'm just going to move on. But when you drop your comments, I'll read it out and make it part of the conversation. So for many people think that sex education is about talking to kids about puberty, that their body is going to change and all of that. Yeah, that's a part of it. That's not all of it. All right. That's a part of it. That's not all of it. Sex education essentially is about preparing a child to make decisions around how they will interact with the opposite sex. How will they interact with the opposite sex? What is allowable in their relationship with the opposite sex? So it's a combination of, from the pre-puberty stages where you're educating your child to help them protect themselves from abuse. Again, you get that? So you're teaching them about body awareness. They're aware of their bodies. They're aware of their environment. They understand what abuse is. That's sex education. At that phase, they're not talking about, they're not talking about puberty just yet. At that phase, they're not talking about puberty. They're talking about stuff like, they're learning about body awareness. They're learning about what people shouldn't do to their bodies. Then you move it up a bit, then they start thinking about puberty. They start thinking about puberty, right? So you're teaching your preteens about changes that are going to be coming to their bodies, changes that they're going to experience. So they learn that part, all right? Somebody says sex education means educating my girl about sex. Well, thank you for sharing that comment, but I'm sure you started getting the feeler. So sex education is not sex education is not like intercourse education, for instance. So it's about understanding the gender of a girl, protecting yourself as a girl, being aware of yourself. So I've talked about the early stages where you're actually trying to prevent abuse. Then you come to the stage where you're teaching your daughter about the changes that are about to come. You're preparing her to be ready for the changes that are about to come. Then you get to another phase where it's now full-blown puberty. Things are happening in your life. Things are happening to your body. This is how you should respond to it. But do you know that at that point when you're talking about puberty, many things are happening to your child's body. Emotions, hormones are surging. There are physical changes, there are mental changes, there are emotional changes. So your daughter is beginning to build attraction to boys. But remember, she's a person before she starts building the attraction to boys. How does she perceive herself? Who does she think she is? All right, how should she relate with the boys? But the thing I like the most about one of the things that sex education does, especially for people listening to here that are fathers, is that sex education helps your daughter know the set of rules she's going to live by. Every home should have the set of rules the girls are going to live by, and that you teach them through sex education. So for instance, we have the United Nations, all the international organizations, initiatives around sex education. They have their own rules. There is no abstinence. And I've explained it on this handle before. The simple idea that public health experts are working on data on the field. They work on data on the field, they're doing research, means that they will always come back to say, oh, teenagers are getting pregnant. What can we do to stop them from getting pregnant? In those quarters, they don't believe that abstinence education works. Yes, they don't believe that abstinence education works. And I agree with them. Right, I totally agree with their perspective to it, and I'm going to share why. So the set of rules that they push is that give these kids condoms. give them contraceptives. Just make sure they're not getting pregnant, because in front of the public health experts, they're saying high teenage pregnancies, they're saying high rate of death from abortion among teens, they're saying high maternal mortality rates among them. So they're just saying, what can we do to stop them from getting pregnant? What can we do? Let them have sex, but let them not get pregnant. So that's a set of rules. Now, public health experts say church rules don't work. And the reason that church rules don't work is because church rules are not skills oriented, they're instruction oriented. So you tell your children that they shouldn't have sex because if they do, they're going to go to hell. And they know your neighbor who's been having sex for decades is now even a born again, didn't go to hell. It doesn't hold substance. You tell your children, don't do this, but you don't tell them what to do with the emotional changes. What do I do when I'm attracted to a girl? What do I do when I'm attracted to a boy? What about when I'm really feeling it? What about when I, like for instance, if your children run into porn, will they be able to run back to you to pray for them, or will you demonize them and beat them? Which are all practices that make them hide. And once they are hiding, whatever it is that is being pushed at them grows. So the reason why abstinence sex education appears not to work is because it usually lacks the support system to help a young person make the decision that they need to make. It always lacks, most of the time, it lacks the support system to make a child growing up in church to know exactly what to do. And when I'm talking about support system, I'm not talking about condoms and contraceptives. I'm talking about the support system where they can come home, they can talk freely, they can say, Mom, but I felt this way. Does that make me a sinner? And then you can clarify that no, your flesh, as long as emotions are passing through your body, you feel like this from time to time. You get the idea? But we're always making it all about instruction based. So it doesn't work when it is just instruction based, lacking the support that young people need when their hormones are running riot, which is why I decided to design a Christian based tool that not only has the instruction, but also has the support to go with it, because it's only through that support system that kids will be able to do well. Now, I've clarified sex education and what it means. So for me, sex education for girls means that you're talking about puberty. You're teaching her the relationship with boys. You're also teaching her what rules she's to live by. At the same time, you're setting standard. So what are the roles of a father in the context of this sex education? Remember the very first thing I said, one of the first things I've said now that are part of puberty is that your daughter needs to know what set of rules to live by. There's a very interesting scripture in Genesis, I think Genesis 18, where God is saying that he knows Abraham, that Abraham will command his children. I mean, that scripture is very instructive. My husband uses it a lot. He said, the Bible says that God said, I know Abraham, that he will command his household, that he will command his own household to follow after the instructions of God. He didn't say he knew Sarah. Sarah may have been a fervent prayer warrior, but God didn't say he knew Sarah. He said he knew Abraham. So the first thing you need to know is that once you're raising a girl, it is your role as a father to point her to the set of rules she's to live by. You are the one who tells her what the right and the wrong is. You are the one. Father, you're the one. You're the one that sets the family value in your home. And in a moment, you're going to understand what I mean. You're the one that is going to decide whether your home, you guys are going to pursue abstinence or you're going to pursue contraceptives. Silence. If you don't say anything, your children can pick anything. Your children can pick what you did not intend to communicate, and they can pick it the wrong way. So you are the first person that sets the tone in your home about what rules you're going to live by. Unfortunately, you don't set these rules by what you say. You set this rule by your action. You set this rule by the example that you are living, you yourself are living. So you get the idea. So you set the rule. You are the one that will design the sexual value of your home. Are you going to be a purity family? Are you going to be a chaste family? What is it going to be? And when you've decided that, which is very interesting, it has to be something you're living by. You cannot command your daughter and ask her to be a purity person if there are conversations in the family about your own infidelity to their mother. If you're unfaithful in your marriage, if your children perceive that, oh, there are things that daddy does here and daddy does there, it will be very difficult for you to give your children sex education, because at that point you're not an example. So you're saying one thing and you're doing another thing. I'm sure when you were coming here today, you knew that we'll always start with example, because that's how God works, because that's how it is. Throughout the Bible, when God was asking us to pass faith values to the next generation, it was primarily by modeling. He kept saying, tell your children morning, afternoon, and night, wear it on your forehead, hang it on your cape, hang it on your door, tell your children the story of what I did. He wanted it to be a lifestyle. So number one, you set the sexual value in your home. Are you going to be a purity family? Are you going to be a chaste family? Now, after you've decided that, in so many homes, it is mothers that decide what TV channels will be watched, what shows will be seen. Even if you have a wife that is pro purity, if you father don't back her up, the children will get misinformation. All right. So if you've decided, for instance, that your family is going to be a purity family as a father, your children need to hear it from your mouth. It shouldn't be something you say during morning prayer alone. It should be something that guards your life. And when you've decided you're going to be a purity family, you as a father need to sit down along with your wife and think about, how are we going to push this in our home environment? What are things that will allow in our home environment? You cannot tell your children that you're a purity family and some music video channels are showing naked people all over the place all the time. You have to be consistent. To another source, all right? All things work together for good. We're going to be good, all right? You can't say you're a purity family and you're watching junk in your home. Dear daddy, you can't say you're a purity family and daddy is not saying anything. Daddy is not saying whether this is right or wrong. Daddy is just going to work and coming back. He will say he doesn't put his mouth in the matter. No. When you don't put the mouth in the matter, when your position on something is not clear, you know what happens? Children assume what the value is. Children assume what is expected of them. So you should set the tone to say this is not allowable in your home. That's part one. Part two, you're going to have people coming into your homes. Some of us run homes that it is always the wife telling relatives or people coming around what the value is. Wrong. You're the father. You're the head of the home. When people move into your home, for instance, in my home, we have a policy that visitors don't give their phones to our children because we don't know what is on people's phone. I mean, when I'm talking about visitors, I'm talking about like my mother. Like my mother cannot hand over her phone to my children. And I trust my mom that much. But because I know that how you do one thing is how you do everything, they'll get used to using my mom's phone, then they'll get to another uncle, then they'll get to another auntie. So people's phones are no-go area. But people are so used to hearing it from the wives that they think that the husband doesn't care about these things. They think that the husband is permissive about these things. So fathers need to put their foot down to say, hey, when whether it's your relative or your wife's relatives come, as you're welcoming them, you need to read them the immigration policies of your home. You need to say, oh no, you can't give her your phone. No, give her back. No, don't worry. She doesn't just, they need to hear what the standard of your home is. One of the things I have learned about fatherhood is that people, if you look at it very well, you see how awesome God is. So God gives a man and gives a woman. There is hardly a home where the man's voice does not carry value. It's hard. When people come into a home and they say the father does not like things done like this, it sends a signal from the top to the bottom. So when the father is permissive or the father is silent, people don't know what he represents. People don't know what that family represents. So anything goes. You get the idea? So you need to determine when people come into your home, you're the one that tells them what is allowable and what is not allowable. And by so doing, you're creating structure and order in your home. Your children are getting the message. Your children are getting the message. The people visiting are getting the message. Everybody coming to your space, they're knowing exactly what this family represents. Don't forget that many times when mothers read out the charter in the home, people start to label her. People start to whisper. People start to, so for instance, I've been in a situation where you're saying your children should not eat something. When you're not home, a family friend that came, says, come, mommy is not around, come and eat it. If not that we've raised our children to an extent, they can say, no, mommy says I shouldn't eat it because it's not good for me. That works. However, what about in homes where your children are pretty, really young, and so say, don't worry, mommy is not around, let them eat, because they think that mommy is being mommy. Compared to when daddy has put his foot down and passed a message that this is not allowable, this TV show is not allowable, this kind of language is not allowable, our children don't access it, they don't access this. But when you finish setting those kind of standards, dear fathers, make time to talk through with your children. Yes. My bobo is online, all right? Fathers as models, yes. You now need to take the time to sit your children through and talk them through some of the policies that you're setting. One of the biggest challenges of fatherhood today with the rest of the family is that fathers are not communicating. Fathers are not talking through stuff. You make rules, bam, and go. You make rules, bam, and go. Then you come one day, you leash out consequence, bang, 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 bang. Consequence. It doesn't work like that. When you're raising girls especially, take them out, take them on a walk and talk them through. See, this is why I don't want this to happen. I care about you. This is who you are. This is what God is trying to do in your life. This is what I'm trying to protect you from. Your children should hear why from you. It's not every time. It's not every time that you will give instruction. Then your wife will be doing master class for the whole family to know why you chose what you chose. You are the authority figure. You cast the vision. But when you finish casting the vision, you have to pitch it to your family for them to be buying. You have to pitch it to them. You have to help them see the value in it. Your children should wake up and anywhere they go and say, I know that my daddy has got my back. I know you're providing for your family to the best of your ability and all, but there are other things that God put in the family for. When I look at the structure that God has designed, you see how wise God is. Mothers can talk. That's their role. They fill in those small gaps. But fathers come. They bring that fatherly role. There's an assumed honor and trust that is ascribed to fathers as soon as they come into the scenario. So when fathers are not there, that pillar thing is completely missing. And so fathers need to close that gap by not just saying what you want to see, but also being there to help you, talking your children through stuff. Take your kids out. Take your daughters out. I'm coming down gradually to the part that is daddy to girl. But let me just talk generally. Take your kids out. Sit down with them and talk about life. Sit on the boot of the car. Take them on a walk. Talk about life from your perspective. Talk about life from your perspective. Help them see the big picture. Help them see the big picture of what you're trying to do. You're not trying to become their mother that manages all the details, but you want them to know that you want them to trust that you know what you're saying. You want them to trust that what you're trying to push is in their best interest. You're right? So I've said a number of things. Set the value. Communicate the value. Let everybody in your home know what you represent. Visitors, people living in, let them know. And then let your children know why you've chosen a particular point. All right? One of the things I have seen in my experience working with teenagers and different families and kids, when they're younger, fathers give instruction, right? Then when they get into teens, you suddenly want to have a relationship. It doesn't work like that. Already over the years, they've known you as somebody that is arbitrary. You create a rule, you walk away. You create a rule, you walk away. You don't hear feedback. So they're now grown men, and somewhere in their heart, or grown girls, somewhere in their heart, they want to compete with you. They want to compete with your authority. And at that point, you want to build a relationship. It doesn't work that way. All right? It doesn't work that way. The things you want to see in your children's teenage years, you cultivate it from when they are really young. You cultivate it from when they're really young. Yes, set the values, talk about it, open your mouth. Daddy, talk about it, explain, tell them why you're doing stuff. So let me start coming back now to girls. Girls are an interesting bunch, all right? And I think that's because that's how God made it, you know? And today I want you to really take your time and listen to me very carefully when it comes to talking to girls and their fathers. I think that the way God designed for it to be, all children are supposed to be raised by a mother and a father. And regardless what a single mother does for her children, there would always be a vacuum that was supposed to be filled up by a man. There will always be a vacuum. Now, for girls, when fathers are absent, fathers are not present, they take that longing somewhere else. They have they exaggerate on the meaning of what a man said to her. So For instance, I was fortunate. I grew up with my mom was a single mom, but I grew up with her brothers, right? I grew up with her brothers. So let's say if there was a tank that was empty on fatherhood, her brothers filled up 60-65%. But you see that remaining 35, there was always me searching for validation as well. Looking for someone who said you did it well, looking for someone who will compliment you. Now, when you mix that need with emotional attraction, girls start to look at little boys as if they are their source. Let me explain it to you. You will see two girls. One is being raised by dad. Dad is okay, this thing. When boys compliment her, she's like, duh, it's nothing special to her. The other girl with the vacuum, she already has a vacuum, there's no dad. Then a boy compliments her. You know, when puberty hormones are surging, they are liking people they're not supposed to be liking. The moment they see a boy and the boy compliments them, the messaging is different. The messaging is, he's going to love me, he's going to be there for me, because she's constantly looking for the man that didn't walk away. She's constantly looking for the man that didn't walk away. So she can stay with an abusive boyfriend because he wanted her. He said he loved her because he said he liked her. You know, I'm going to share some statistics with you. The first statistic I've seen, let me not bore you with statistics. The first thing I've seen is that one of the researches I read said that girls who are raised in a home where there's no father are most likely to experiment with sexual activity and experience teenage pregnancy. Not only that, they're likely to drop out of school, they're likely to get into live with someone who they're not married to and just start having children, right? They're likely to end up in real deep poverty. The first time I came across the statistics, there are like four of them like that, but I just want to focus on one. The first time I came across the statistic, I started thinking, I said, look, what is the thing that makes girls whose fathers are absent end up like this? And somebody said, well, it doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen all the time. I agree. It doesn't happen all the time. I'm sitting down here, it didn't happen to me. However, it's a miracle. It's news headline when it happens. And if it is news headline when it happens, it means it doesn't happen often. When it is a news headline that somebody was raised by a single parent and they became successful and it made it to the news, it means it doesn't happen all the time. But let me show you a bit of what goes through the mind of girls whose fathers are not present. And remember, present is not physically present, it's fathers that are not proactively fathering. They take the need, they feel like their father rejected them. So any boy that comes is better than their father. You know that thing of, at least this one loved me, this one stayed. My daddy walked away from my mom, didn't care about how I felt. So anybody that compliments is fine. It's the same thing with girls being raised in homes where their fathers are cheating. Where their fathers are cheating, quarreling with their moms, they can go away for a weekend, come back. They watch their mothers beg for attention. So they start to think that, oh, that is how men should treat women. So anybody that says I love you looks like, at least it's better than my father. It's crazy. I've been in that place before. I've been in that place on 2 occasions, in 2 relationships that when I look back, I ask myself, how did you walk into those relationships? Because you're like, at least it's better than, at least it's better than, at least it's better than. And then they're the ones that say they want to prove to their father that they could make it. Then they go on another tandem. They go on high-class prostitution. They want to have a car, deal with big men to prove to their father that they were able to cope without their fathers. Either ways is not safe. Either ways is not healthy. But did you hear what I said? It happens to girls that their fathers have gone AWOL, but it also happens to their girls that their fathers are cheating, where their fathers are not faithful to their mothers, where their fathers hit their mothers. What it means is that fathers model the kind of men that their daughters will be attracted to. Fathers eventually determine what you eventually determine what your daughter will do to her body. Did you know that you can be a father who has left the mother of your child, but you manage to have a responsible relationship with the woman and with your daughter? Let's say the woman is impossible. Let's say the woman is impossible. There's a part of the responsibility that is on you to stay in touch with your daughter, to send her messages periodically, to take her on a date, to honor her birthdays, even if you're not a part of her mother's life, because the way you treat her becomes what she uses as a standard for the people that are going to come into her life. You get the idea? So as a father, you shouldn't play with that. You shouldn't play with that. Your daughter is watching the way you treat her mother on her birthday. She's eventually mirroring to know this is how men should treat women. Do you know how many girls are with boyfriends beating them blue black and they see nothing wrong with it because their dad did it to their mom? It's okay. So tonight I'm just asking you, look back at your daughter today. What kind of man do you want her to be attracted to? What kind of man do you want her to gravitate towards? Then be that man. Even if you have failed in your relationship with her mother, you can be vulnerable with it. There's an age she comes to you, say, look, I and your mom, we made some mistakes. Life can be different. Life can be this. Life can be that. Part of the, and this one is, I want to bring in a quick perspective here. Part of the things that you owe your daughter is to stay with her mother. Because when you leave her mother, let's say the relationship didn't work out, you have to keep staying connected to her because her mother is going to go through a journey of being with different men before she gets married. She will date people, break up, till she finds someone suitable she ends up living with. Do you know the chaos that comes with being with different men? One guy comes, take her mother out today. Another one comes, take her mother out tomorrow. Another one comes. The mother doesn't need to be sleeping with them. Grandma is at the gate. No one, they don't need to be sleeping with her mom, but it's uncoordinated. There's a way it is. This one comes, oh, this should be the one. Is he going to be my stepdad? Is he going to treat me right? Then that one goes, another one. So it means that while her mother is transiting to find, which she's doing legitimately, transiting to find the right person she's going to be with, you have to be her stable. You have to be her stable. You have to stay in touch. You have to keep talking. You have to hang out. You have to be on the phone. You have to go do Zoom meetings and Google Meet and be physically present where you can. You have to be the stability through those periods. She has to talk to you in case there's someone in her mother's life who could be abusive. You have to be her stability. It's terrible when you're off and then she's going through that emotional, she's going through the day her mother is happy, she's there, then her mother breaks up. The inconsistencies are too much. They're not designed to handle all of that. So if her mother is going through that phase, you have got to be her stable. You have to be her stable. Because if you're not her stable, she's going to mirror that in and out too, in and out, without realizing that her mom is going through just the natural cycle of life to find her next partner. She's going to think, oh, it's just that, it's just that. And if there's intercourse between her mother and those people, it's chaos. You have to be her stable. So tonight, I need men to know that you're going to have to be your daughter stable if you're no longer with her mother, right? So remember, your daughter is modeling. She's going to be most likely attracted to men that are just like you. If you're a very strict father, your daughter is going to be comfortable with boys with standards. Well, let me tell you what strict I mean. I don't mean authoritarian fathers. I'm talking about fathers that are firm, they have standards. Your daughters will naturally gravitate towards people with structure and discipline. All right. So they'll be used to guys that they can say, no, I don't want that. The boys understand. They're mirroring you. All right. If you're a spender who was inconsistent, they're going to mistaken spending for love. So they're going to be attractive to a guy that is spending and spoiling them, even if he's abusive, cheating, and all of those kind of things. The mere idea that your daughter is likely going to spend her life with someone that is just like you should challenge you to be a better person, to challenge you to communicate better, to challenge you to be more present. The next step for me is sex education standard in your family must come from your mouth. From your mouth. I tell parents, even in my bundle, I wrote it. I said, sex education is not coded talk. You need to announce it in your family. You have housemates, relatives, drivers coming to live in your house. It is on you to look at them and say, boys don't bathe my girls. I mean, I have these family friends. I went to visit them one time, and it was time for their daughter to bathe. And she was playing with her dad. And when it was time for her to bathe, she was about maybe 5, 6. It was time about to her, for, it was time for her to go and bathe. Her father stopped and called a female maid in the house and said, "Go and bathe her." Then he now added, "You know, baby, boys can't touch you," meaning he is not bathing her. Do you know there are homes that have the policy that daddies shouldn't bathe their daughters? And it's because of representation. They want their daughters to be used to the fact that boys cannot bathe me, men cannot bathe me, so that the wrong people don't touch them inappropriately. When fathers are silent, that message can be misunderstood. When fathers are silent, so for instance, your daughter now says it in class, and an ignorant child now say, "How can your daddy not bathe you?" They now, you know, that those kind of things, the wrong messaging starts to foster, and it starts to look as if fathers have a problem. But if the father had a conversation and say, "Baby girl, daddy wants you to get used to boys not touching your private body areas or bathing you. That's why the auntie is." It's a knowledge-based plan. Not that mommy is moving things around and people are thinking, "Oh, you know what I mean. I don't need to say it in black and white." So you have to be the one that tells your daughter that, "I'm not bathing you because I'm a man and men shouldn't touch your body." You get the idea? Men shouldn't touch your private area. So when it comes from you, it's clear. When people move into your house, whether they're, regardless, you're the ones that say nobody should keep the door locked. Nobody should touch anybody's private area. If my children misbehave, tell me, because I always say that. Don't allow people who live in your house to blackmail your children, to say you did something wrong. I'm going to tell your daddy and mommy. Your children start begging. Children have been molested with those kind of things because children usually don't know that the molestation is more grievous than whatever it is they did. So fathers should talk openly. Fathers should talk openly. So you set the standard and set it verbally. The next thing is that your daughters need validation. If you're raising a girl, in fact, you don't even need to raise a girl. You're married to one. You're hearing how she's telling, "Honey, am I looking good? Did I look nice? Did this, did this, that, did this, that?" When your voice is missing, where does she get that from? Your girls want to come out for church. "Hey, baby, I like your dress. Your dress looks nice." You need to validate them. That's level one. You need to validate them. You need to say they are beautiful. You need to say these things. But then you need to take it to the next level and teach them to start validating themselves. I started this about 2-3 years ago. I didn't even know there was a thing about it. When my girls say, "Mommy, how did I do?" I ask them, "How do you think you did?" And that was me preparing them for a time when they'll be needing other people's validation. I wanted them to be so used to self-validation that if other people are not applauding them, they're totally okay. They're totally fine. They're not looking for anyone. Welcome, Vivi Hewatomi, Wow Yummy Cakes, Mrs. Lua Femi, thank you for joining in tonight. You get the idea? So you start by validating her, but the real thing is in teaching her that she doesn't need anybody to validate her. She doesn't need anybody to validate her. Depending on your partner, who you're married to, if you have a wife that is self-conscious, she's looking at herself, looking at her tummy, like this, my owner, looking at her tummy, looking to see if she's okay and all, you want your daughter to hear something else so that there's a balance. So your daughter doesn't get carried away with mommy saying, "How does this clothes fit? Since I gave birth, my tummy, honey, do you like it?" Somebody else needs to be saying something else in that space for your daughter. So as your wife is going, do I really look good? There has to be someone else saying, "Baby, you're not what your beauty is not physical. Your beauty is intrinsic. God made you beautiful. This is what the Bible says about beauty, and this is how I feel about you." By the way, you can't be telling her that she's beautiful. Your wife, you can't be telling your wife that she's beautiful, and one day she's crying, another day she's crying. It's very confusing. So you have to be the stable pillar. As the emotion things, in fact, you can even tell your wife, say, "Honey, you can say, honey, when you want to talk about how you look in front of the mirror, don't do it in front of the girls." You can have those kind of policies. So when she wants to do that her mirror thing, you tell her, "Baby girl, lock the door. Don't come and make my daughter think that beauty is superficial." You are the stability. You are the stability, right? They want to go out to compliment them. When you finish, after a while, when they get to a certain age, you tell them, "Oh yeah," they come and, how do you think you look? Did you look at yourself in the mirror? Did you see the beauty that God made in the mirror? "Oh yeah, compliment yourself." They compliment themselves. You're preparing them for puberty when the hormones are raging, making them need a boy to say they are this. Have you spoken to teenage girls who say no boy asks them out? I'm not talking about prom. I'm talking about in the normal scenario of life. They say no boy is asking them out, so something is wrong with them. You have to beef that up. You have to, girls that are confident. So, do you get the idea? The second thing you need to do is you need to build rapport. One of the things I talked about in the book, How to Talk with Your Girls About Sex, I said that children should talk about sex over dinner as a normal conversation topic. Your daughter should be able to say, by the way, let me just give you this hint. By the time your daughter is about 6, between 6 and 8, they're going to have their first crush. So they should be able to talk to you about it, Daddy. You should go to pick them from school and say, Daddy, there's a boy in my class that I like. If they can't tell you, where are they pouring that idea? I know some of you are comfortable with them talking to their mom. You shouldn't. They should talk to their mom, but they should be able to talk to you too. Conversations should be able to happen around you, because when it doesn't happen around you, they don't know what your opinion is. They don't know what you represent. They don't know the value that you're trying to push. So they should be able to talk to you about it. I remember the first time my daughter told me about her crush. Talk to me about this boy, and even went further to say, so somebody's challenging me here, saying that the problem is that girls spend more time with mommy when she's dressing and saying stuff that undermine self-love. And because the father is a man, the girl will gravitate more to the mother's expression. Interestingly, psychology says that girls have an attraction to fathers. So it means that fathers need to cut it when you're present, right? When you're present, call their attention to you. Sometimes, yes, they help their mother in the kitchen, but sometimes ask them to come out and hang out with you. Take them on a walk with you. And don't do it once in a while. Do it all the time. Have them ask you questions. Sit outside with them. Sit on the car with them. Do something with them. You have to deliberately fit into their reality. It's something you have to do. You can't leave them to just be going with their mother like that. So you're the stability. So you have to make the time out. You have to call them out. You have to take them out. Some days, if they'll meet term break, you see sometimes when they'll meet term break, they're going with their mother to the office. Let them go with you. And when they get to your office, let them be around you. Let them see your reality. Let them ask you questions. I mean, my husband used to do this thing sometime where he said every week the kids will ask him a question. He made the time to do that. This is something you should do. Get them talking to you. Let them come and ask you questions. And then also let mothers begin to give fathers feedback. When you find your girl saying a particular kind of thing that you think your husband can make a difference, this is not reporting them. Tell your husband so that he knows where to take that conversation to. So he knows how to introduce that conversation. But whatever it is, you have to make yourself relevant in their lives, especially when they've started the navigation towards puberty has come. So that when they get into the turmoil, usually when they get into that, all those raging hormones, especially if the right foundation of sex education was not there, they will always have a parent they're arguing with. Most of the time, the parent they're arguing with is their mother, because she's too much in the details, right? But it's easier when they're arguing with their mother about the nitty-gritty, but they have a father that they can, they usually have this self-deception that I can talk to dad, dad will be better, dad will listen more. Meanwhile, sometimes they forget that dad and mom are a team. So when they come to now talk to you, you can still tell them the same things they're fighting with their mother about, but in the language that only fathers can, in the language that only fathers have. So you can spread it out and help them see where their mother was coming from, but now keep the communication line for them to come to you. Essentially, normalize sex conversations in your home. Let your children sit on the dining table and say, Daddy, somebody talked today about abortion in class, and I think it's like this, and I think it's like this, and I think it's like that. Don't do alu. Don't think that it is the office of the father for children to be scared of having a conversation. When they're not having a conversation with you, they're having it with someone else. The question is, what is that someone telling them? Do you understand? When they're quarreling with their mom and they're not happy about their mother micromanaging them, where are they going to? Who do they go to? When they feel that mommy is too much in my face, checking my phone, entering my room, when they're feeling that way, who do they go to? You have to be present. You have to be present. All right, I'm going to be wrapping this up in a moment. Then you have to teach them coping skills. What? So Daddy, I really like this boy, but he doesn't like me. He's snubbing me in class. I don't want to go to school today. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Okay, I get what you're saying now, sir. So my point is, if mom is always complaining about her looks because they are females, it sinks more. Yes, girls are attracted to their daddy, but mother's voice is the factor for how they feel about looks and the body. But it doesn't stop fathers from talking. Yes. So what you can now do is create a policy around it. You're the father. Tell your wife what the kind of conversations you don't want her to have. And many times, I'm sorry to say this, but many times, oh, someone is asking, how do I get this link? I need to send it to my husband. All you need to do is send me a DM. Send me a DM. I'll send you the YouTube link. I'll send you the YouTube link. Somebody was calling me. Let me just, you get the idea. I'll send you the YouTube link to share with your husband. So what is going to happen is this. My Instagram is going to be hanging for a while. Almost wrapping up my live session. Sorry. So here's the thing. You can tell your wife that, oh, honey, I don't want you to feel this way. See, sometimes, right, unvalidated women are the people having that problem in front of the mirror. Women who feel that their husband has a problem with their tummy, their weight, their look, are the ones that sulk like that. So go and validate your wives. Go and validate your wife, and don't be hypocritical about it. There's a way that is patronizing, and the women know. If you can accept your wife, if you're critical towards your wife, because that happens in many homes, if you're critical towards your wife, the way she looks, the way she does this, she will be self-conscious at home. And home is one place. Home is home now. She'll be self-conscious. If she's worried, we'll hear it. If she's concerned, we'll hear it. So first and foremost, you can create a policy that says, baby, you don't talk like this in front of the girls. All right? You don't talk like this in front of them. When it comes to yourself, and you should treat her like a queen. When you treat her like a queen, it helps them have an idea of how to, how they should perceive themselves. However, if you're separated from her and this is happening, you can give her the feedback, say, oh, baby, the kids that are beginning to be self-conscious. What can you do? Like, for instance, my husband has a policy about me answering phone calls where the kids are. Because when you're vulnerable, you're talking to your friends, you can say something that it may not be something that he wants the kids to pick. And when my husband gives me that kind of feedback, I don't need to fight about it. I understand where he's coming from. So we need to work as a team. Remember, we're trying to create an enabling environment for the kids to grow up into the best version of their lives. Never forget that. Yeah, everything we're doing is to create an enabling environment for our girls to go into the best version of life. So you have to teach them coping skills, how to handle rejection when trends are hot and they feel like they're missing out. When you tell them that you want them to go to bed at 9, meanwhile, probably TikTok is going on, getting on fire at 11 and 12 p.m. When they like a celebrity that you're not connected to, how will you teach them? Or sometimes we have children who want to do the right thing, but the pressure around them, they don't have enough support system. All right. In school, there are more people tending to a particular way. Will they be able to talk to you? When they talk to you, will you just tell them, be strong, be strong? No, it doesn't work like that. Walk them through it. One of the things that I use, even with older teenagers that I coach and pastor, I will walk them through their process. I say, okay, tell me, when this happens, how does it make you feel? I feel like I'm missing out something. And then I'll go, do you need to be there at that time? You show empathy, genuine interest to help them find a solution around whatever it is that is pressing them. Fathers, one thing I know, quick secret, fathers are logical. When you spend more time with your daughters, you infuse it into her. If I want to go by that thing that they say, men are logical, women are sentimental, the more interaction your daughter has with you, the more logical she is. And I have evidence to back up. To a large extent, I consider myself a logical person when it comes to sex decisions, right? And partly was because I lived in a home where they were all men. It was pa. Even in the relationship that I didn't need to be in. Somehow, when I got myself together, I carried my bag and walked out. I don't know if you understand me. So the more time she spends with you, she starts learning the logical way of seeing life. Daddy, someone inside look beautiful. Then you bring the logic. Do you think you look beautiful? What really matters is that you know how you look. And if you're my daughter, I know you're looking beautiful. You know those kind of things. You introduce the logic. Whereas the mother may feel, why did their face turn like that? That's what we pass on. Why did that person not smile at me? Is there something somebody's saying about me? So sometimes we pass on that insecurity that we were raised in as women to our girls. But we need daddy stepping in to say, no, that thing stops here. You get the idea? That thing stops here. I've exhausted. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I've gone beyond 1 hour. I want to answer questions now. And if you learned anything, if you're a father here and you got a lot of value, this is exciting for me. All right. So it means we can have a policy around what mothers say in front of the mirror. We with a bit of that, but it's okay. So I'm going to be taking questions right about now. I think tonight I've had the highest number of people I've seen on my Facebook feed at any point. Please, if you have any questions, let me hear, let me hear, let me hear. Let me hear, let me hear. I'm wrapping up now. I'm going to wrapping up in 2-3 minutes. Let me hear your questions, your comments. So if you're watching and you want to share this live video with your spouse, your colleagues, male colleagues, the link is going to be somewhere. I think the link is already on my own home, on my personal timeline. But I can DM you if you want so that you can share with everyone. All right. So I've said a number of things. Set the standard in your home and voice it. Let people hear what you believe in about what TV show should go live, what your family value should be. But don't stop by giving instructions. Explain. Let your children see how you're proactively working in their best interest. Be present. Don't just say, I'm earning money. Thank you so much. Oh, you have a 10-year-old Sheofa. That's nice. That's nice. So be a father that sets the standards, but has the conversation so that everyone knows that, oh, that is doing this in our best interest. All right. So even when you're talking to your spouse about her self-love mood, do it in the most empowering way. You cannot, in the process of trying to tell her not to look down on herself, go and talk down on her. It's double jeopardy. You have to help, talk to her in a way that helps her see herself the way God sees her. Remember, you're the one that is going to tell your daughter what set of rules to live by. Are we going to live biblical truth, or we're going to do world truth? Biblical truth says we can abstain from sex, we can stay until we're married. World truth says get condoms and contraceptives. You have to be the father that says, this is the line, this is where the pathway that my family is going to go, this is where I'm leading them. And unfortunately, you can't point them there. You're going to live that reality. You can't be a father that tells them to be chaste and they know that their mother is crying about your own personal infidelity. You know, that kind of thing. So you have to be that father that your children can look at and say, my dad was a real model. And these things are possible. God's grace is available to you. Look for a group of men of kindred spirit that you can be a part of and be a part of their support system. My husband has a community on WhatsApp called Men of Honor that they just meet. They talk about different things. They support each other. They remind each other of the values that they want to lead and everything. It will be a beautiful place for you to be a part of. So if you'd like to be a part of Men of Honor, my husband and I do a radio show every Sunday night. So he has a segment called Men of Honor where he talks about the things that men are dealing with and how to be that support and leader that their families really need them to be. And if you're listening to me as well, you still don't know how to break down the sex talk, tell how the changes that are coming, how to manage hormonal changes, which is part of the coping skills you're supposed to teach and everything. It's very simple. All you need to do is pre-order my sex ed bundle. All you need to do is pre-order my sex education bundle called the Body Smart Girl bundle. What I've done is that in the parenting book, I tell you, I've written out what you should tell 3 to 5 year olds, 6 to 8, 10 to 6 to 8, 9 to 11, 12 to 14, and 15 plus, as in age by age, what you're supposed to be talking with them about, so that on those your walks, on those conversations you're having it meaningfully, to know that my child is of this age. These are the things I should be telling her. I've done all of that. I've also gone a step further to do books for her where she can read them on her own and she can come back to you for conversation. And I didn't stop there. The Bible says in Ephesians 3:20 that God does exceedingly abundantly above. I've also done conversation cards, small cards that have questions that she can ask you. But then I also give you expo. I did cards for you that is a parent, so that when she asks you the question, you know what to do. Men of Honor, I don't think they have a Facebook page yet, but I'll ask my husband to see how he can make that happen, like a Facebook group or something, like a Facebook group. It will make sense, right? I'll talk to him and everything. So, being in the right circle of friendship helps. So I've done that, that entire bundle to make sure that sex education is happening in your home the way God wants it to, with you as the lead, and God's grace will be available to you. So I'm so grateful that you're able to hang out. I want to see you next Friday. Next Friday, we do Raising Girls Weekly again. Another conversation will be coming up. I want you to be a part of this. And remember, we're building up to April 5th when we launch officially the Body Smart Girl Bundle, a biblical sex education guide for girls and their parents. I'm going to be drawing the curtain here. I want to thank everyone that came out tonight. There was a bit of interruptions here, network, noise in my kitchen, here and there, but I want to thank you for hanging out with me tonight. So you'll be able to catch this replay on my IGTV on Instagram. It's going to remain in the Parenting Champions group, but you'll also be able to catch it on my YouTube channel. To find my YouTube channel, all you need to do is get on YouTube and search for Raising Girls with Irene Bangwell. You see a lot of my past videos. In the last couple of weeks, I've talked about children being exposed to porn. I've talked about when girls are exposed to porn, children generally exposed to porn, when children have been abused, what you should do. I mean, I've done a lot in the past. I've talked about that. I've talked about a lot. I've talked about, if you're a single parent, what should be your guide for raising girls and talking to them about sex. All you find them as replays either on my IGTV or my YouTube channel, where you can find it, Raising Girls with Irene Bangwell. And please talk to someone about raising girls tonight. Talk to someone raising girls, that there's a support system, there's a community where we can learn, we can share, and we can pray with each other, so that we can present our daughters to God. I'm talking daughters because of our community, right? We can present our daughters to God in the way He intends us to, the best way He wants us to. So all the things God is trying to get us to learn now is so that we can present Him vessels He can use. God wants to do mighty things through our daughters, but He doesn't want them thinking small, treating their bodies wrong, and He wants us to be able to support them as they're evolving. So I look forward to welcoming you here next week, Friday. Come next week, Friday. Let's hang out again. The flyers will be out. I don't know what the topic for next Friday is. I think it's somewhere. I'll dig it up, but we're going to have an amazing conversation. Make sure you talk to someone about us, about me, about raising girls, and share the link to these videos and get more people to watch, replay, and everything. And together, God will help us do what He's called us to do. I want to thank you for hanging out with us tonight. God bless you. All right, let me play a small video before we go. All right. Good night. God bless you.
Are you having sex education conversations in your home with your girls?
Thank you guys for coming. I appreciate.
Are you coming from the God perspective, or all the things you're picking out outside the world? You do know that we're creations of God. Everything about sex is the creation of God. And here's the thing, God has a way He wants the next generation and the next generation and the next generation to learn about sex. God has His principles. God has His standards. And I bet you there's supreme that the right way to pass on these principles to the next generation. The question is, what are you telling your children? What the conversation you're having in your home right now, does it uphold the values and principles of God, or is it the permissive culture that the world is passing to us? If you be a child of God, you ought to find out how God wants you to talk with your girls about sex. You don't know how? It's pretty simple. All you need to do is lay your hands on the Sex Education for Girls bundle, which is based 100% on biblical principles about raising the next generation of children who love God, fear God, and honor God with their bodies. Click the link below and find a way to get the Sex Ed for Girls bundle, and make sure you open that God-led conversation in your home today. So what happens when you are not providing your daughters with the right sex education information? What happens when you are not talking freely about sex? I bet you your daughter is talking to someone else, and chances that they're talking to their friend, and they're depending on romantic novels, romantic TV shows, and social media. How much do you trust those sources? Here is the thing. If your daughter is getting inaccurate information, then it means that they're going to base their decisions on those inaccurate information. And when your daughter makes a wrong decision, consequences always comes. And unfortunately, usually you're part of the consequences of their decisions. So I want to help you. I want to make it easier for you. I want your home to be a place where your child and yourself can talk safely and freely about these issues so that you can help them make or shape the decision-making process for them when it comes to sex-related decisions. So all you need to do is look for the link on this video and look for the sex education bundle for girls that I've designed and get started. Get the spark of amazing conversation going on in your home today.